Okay, I'm going to check page 1 of the review, part B. What is the intersection of two planes? Always. All right, a line. Identify the intersection of plane SVX and STU. What'd you guys get? S. Somebody just have S? SV? Okay, that is correct. SVX is, in case somebody couldn't see it, SVX is over there. You have to include all 4 points. Oops, I don't like that color. And this is the top S, that's plane STU. It includes the V. So the line S or VS is the line of intersection for those two planes. So if you wrote SV or VS, it should have a line symbol above it. How many planes are represented in the picture? 6, because there's a top and a bottom and a left and a right and a front and a back. Okay. All right, when you are writing these, I'm hoping that you did not write a decimal. You need to check what this is. If you wrote 1, it's completely wrong. Okay, so let's talk if you wrote 1.1 in particular. This is in inches, so your answer should have a label of inches. Inches are not the same as centimeters. There are how many marks from 0 to 1? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means this is in 1/4. Okay, quarters. So this would be 1 1/4 of an inch. Did anybody write 1.25? Okay, nobody did. So if you wrote 1.1, you got to get out of that. That's not correct. It's got to be 1 1/4. Now down here, you can do decimals because it's in centimeters. And the reason you can do decimals is because from 0 to 1, there are 10 marks, which are millimeters. So this is 6 point, what'd you put? 3? Okay, hopefully so far so good. This formula is the first one on your note sheet. The formula is x plus x divided by 2, y plus y divided by 2. You need to add the x's, which are the first numbers, 5 plus 2. Don't forget to add before you divide by 2. So either your answer is 7/2 for that part or 3.5. I don't care which one. Probably going to be 3.5 though if it's multiple choice. The y parts are the 8 and the 3. You add them. 8 plus 3 and divide by 2. That's 11 divided by 2. You can write 11/2 or 5.5. If you made these into mixed numbers, 3.5 or 5.5, that's okay too. Now, the distance formula we've probably struggled with more than the midpoint formula. That's also on your sheet. You are supposed to take the x's and subtract them and square, plus subtract the y's and square. Midpoints you add, distance you subtract. So this should be the distance is the square root of 5 minus 2, quantity squared, plus 3 minus 8, quantity squared. Be very careful on that second part. I really would rather you almost did 8 minus 3 because then you won't have a sign mistake. This should be the square root of 3 squared plus -5 or positive 5 squared, which gives you 25. 9 plus 25 is 34. So you should have the square root of 34. You notice this said give the exact value only. That's what this is. You don't put it in the calculator because the calculator gives you a decimal. That's not an exact value. Okay, so if you did get 5, what was it if you did a decimal? 5.8 what? 5.83. So if you had that, you didn't do it wrong, you just didn't write the square root of 34. Okay, so let's try another. We've got midpoint. You're going to add 8 plus -6 and divide by 2. That's 2 divided by 2, which is 1. To do the y's, you're going to do 5 plus 3 divided by 2. First add 8 divided by 2 and get 4. 1, 4. Any questions about that? Okay, the distance, the square root of. Now I'm just going to go 8 minus negative 6. You're supposed to subtract when you do distance. 5 minus 3. Excuse me, I have tickle. That gives you the square root of 14 squared plus 2 squared. And that should give you the square root of 196 plus 4, which is the square root of 200. Now, that can be simplified, and you'll have to do this in Algebra 2 and some next semester in geometry. There's a perfect square number that is a factor of 200. Yes, Darylyn? What would it be? Right, you can say that this is 10 times the square root of 2 because 200 breaks down to 100 times 2. The square root of 100 is 10, and that's 10 times the square root of 2. So if you've got, how many of you have Algebra 2 currently? Okay, that's why you're probably familiar right now. Not too many. Only one of you. Does anybody else have Algebra 2 right now? We do. I have a bunch of kids throughout the day that are doing double geometry and Algebra 2. And you probably did see this some in Algebra 1 for sure. Okay, so we'll probably practice it more this year. Don't worry about it for the finals so much, though. Okay, classify each angle as right, acute, obtuse, or straight. I'm going to move this up so I can see these angles. So angle TSW is down here, and that would be obtuse because it's over 90. What did you guys estimate the angle at? I heard 100, 110's a little small for that guy. I'd say at least 120, 130, 120-ish. So that's a little small, but I wouldn't be horrible. So if you had a choice, if it's multiple choice, it's not gonna, you'll be able to tell which one. So 120-ish. Okay. USW, nice little small angle. That's acute. And about how big do you think that one was? About 60, 50? Okay. And then RSU, nobody should disagree with because it's straight. Okay, and that would be 180. Identify the hypothesis. That would be the part after the if. Do not write the if. You study this review. That is the hypothesis. The conclusion is you will pass the final. It does not include the then. If you wrote the if or the then, erase it. It does not belong in your answer. Okay? I hope this is true as well. Number 9, we're going to take and write the converse of that statement. The converse switches the hypothesis and the conclusion. It does Q then P, whereas the original is P then Q. So if we flip it, it's going to say if you will pass the final, and I'll just be literal and not try to reword it if I can. If you will pass the final, then you studied, I would say at least studied, right? Then you studied this review. Okay, then write the inverse. Do you remember what the inverse does? Does what? Not, okay? So negate the hypothesis and the conclusion. So if you don't study this review, and this is not necessarily true, then you will not pass the final. Okay? Does anybody still need this page? You're supposed to have already done it, so I'm kind of thinking you're just fixing maybe minor things. 12, the contrapositive negates the hypothesis and the conclusion and switches them. So if you will not pass the final, And don't try to eliminate words, please, when you do these. If you will not pass the final, then you did not study this review. Well, I have some students, and you're not one of them, that like to just totally wipe out words and say it, think they means the same thing, and it doesn't sometimes. Like they don't want to write so much, so they like leave out the word final, or if you will not pass, then you didn't study, or something like that. I forgot what I was writing. If you will not pass the final, then you did not study this review. Okay. All righty. Is this on the next page? All right, let's talk about this quick because I'm sure a lot of you got to here and you might have a question about that. Write the inverse. How can I make this be not? Any ideas on that? Well, the inverse negates the hypothesis and the conclusion. How can you say x doesn't equal 7? Yeah. Go ahead, what were you going to say, Darlene? And thank you for raising your hand. How did you write it in words? Okay, you could do that, but here's a way you could do it with symbols, which, yeah, okay, Nathan? Slash, okay. If x does not equal 7, then x minus 2 does not equal 5. Just put a slash in your equal signs. Yep. Just like I did when we did those triangle inequalities, I said, it says, if 2 plus 2 is not greater than 5, and I was proving that you couldn't make a triangle. The contrapositive of that statement then would be if x minus 2 does not equal 5, then x does not equal 7. And if you wrote it out in words, that's fine as well. Okay, does anybody know they have a question in here right away before I stop for a moment and let you continue? Okay, read these, give it a shot. Classify each of the following statements as sometimes, always, or never true. If you have 2 points, is there more than one line you can draw through them? If you have 2 points, is there more than one line that you could draw through those 2 points? No, there is not. This is always true. You're not supposed to you can't go curvy and stuff, guys. It's just a line. Straight lines are straight, okay? If 2 planes intersect, their intersection is a point. Never! Okay, you can't have 2 planes meet in a point. There wouldn't be touching then. If they touched, and they're not planes then. They go on forever. All right, if 2 points lie in a plane, do you see these 2 points? They lie in that plane, right? Does the whole line lie in the plane then that goes through them? I think I yelled loud enough that Siri heard me. I don't even know what my phone is doing right now. Go away. I don't think she can hear, can she? Maybe I said something that sounded like Siri? I've never had that happen before. I just had the phone there because I don't get any service anyway, really. All right, 4 points are coplanar. Sorry, I shouldn't be talking about that. But okay, wait. Here, this will maybe help those of you who aren't sure. If you had a box, I could have 3 points on that front plane. 3 points always make a plane, all right? But then if I had a 4th point, does it have to be on that plane or could it be somewhere else? Yeah, it could be somewhere else. So this would be sometimes, as I heard some of you say. Okay, choose from these properties. Now, I'm hoping you got all these right because we really worked hard on these properties. Whoop, all it did was switch sides. So that one is symmetric, not reflexive. Can you spot the reflexive really fast? The last one. Okay, because we've been doing that one a lot lately. All right, then, if you have x equals a and a equals 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 3. That was my transitive property. And then, oh, you got this statement, and then you're told that x is 7, and then you go and replace it. Good. Substitution. I like the participation. Okay. 17. Ooh, what does a perimeter mean? Add up all the sides. So we're going to add up these sides. So I'm going to add up 7y and 3y and 2y, which would be 12y. And then I'm going to add 1 and 5 plus 6 equals 24. Okay, subtract 6. And then divide by 12, and you should have gotten 1.5 for x. All right, now you would substitute 1.5 back in on here and find out the missing sides. Okay, you should have gotten 10.5, 9.5, and I forgot 4. Yes? Anybody need help with how I got those numbers? No? All right. 18, a counterexample to make a statement. If you want a counterexample to a statement, it must make the if part true, but the then part false. So it says if x squared is 25, then x had to be negative 5. Is there another answer it could have been that satisfies x squared is 25? Yes, x could be positive 5. That would be your counterexample. Now, if you remember what absolute value means, it means the distance from 0. So if it says the absolute value of some number x is equal to 8, then x had to be 8. Is there another number that's also 8 away from 0? Negative 8, right? Okay, because remember, absolute value means the distance a number is from 0. So 8 away on the right, 8 away on the left, so the answer could have been negative 8. Absolute value of negative 8 is 8. And if today's a weekday, then it has to be Monday? Heck no. What's today? Happens to be Tuesday today, and if it were Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, that would also satisfy as a counterexample. Okay? I don't care if you wrote something else. If you had Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, that's fine. Or Monday. No, it can't be Monday because it said Monday. Okay, now we're going to try to find all the segments parallel to RV. RV is here. Anything parallel must run in the same direction. So SW. Got another one? QU. PT. Okay, those are the only 3. So you had to have 2 of those 3. Name 2 segments skew to RQ. Skew means we'll never run into and is not parallel. So VU is no good. All right, UT would work. I heard some SW, sure. Another good one. How about, what about PS? No, because these would keep going and then they'd smash into each other. But how about PT? Okay. Okay, and was that it? Oh, VW will never hit it either. Oh, and WP. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of them. All right, so that's enough. You needed 2 of them. All right, name a segment parallel to SP. It's only one answer, and that would be WT. And name a segment skew to RS. RS is along the back, guys. It would have to be anything that won't run into that. QU, PT, WT, BU. Okay, any of those. We got the idea, right? Okay. Just a little bit more. Let's just get this page finished, please. State that this is still on the same page, isn't it? Or it's the next page. But we have a whole page and a half left, right? Let's just do a couple of these. Do you remember? Okay, this is recent. If M is the midpoint of a segment AB, then AM is congruent to MB. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I hear more of you say that out loud than ever before. Definition of midpoint. Yes, we should know that by now. All right, and then do you remember what it was when we added 2 segments to get a bigger one? Segment, addition, I should write segment, right? Addition, postulate. And then if 2 angles form a linear pair, then they're supplementary. That was a supplement theorem. Or just supplement theorem, okay? Okay, we'll stop here, and then tomorrow we'll pick up, and we'll finish review B, and then we're going to continue on to review A, part A.